Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our home renovation remodel thing. This time we're going to get into some trim here in the kitchen space. Feels like not that long ago we just finished the sunroom, and that was a heck of a lot of work, and this is even more work. But regardless, with this tall cabinet finally being here and its final position set, that sets the location of all the trim here for this cased opening, and that's what we're going to work on this time. We're going to work on getting the steps in place, and we're going to get this wall here, above me here, all finished up. So like before, we're going to make every single piece that goes in here, except for the flooring here that goes into the great room. We have some patching to do there. But as I kind of think through this, I'm going to think through it in like phases of things, because even though this is all can be done right now, a lot of the stuff here is still interdependent on the other stuff being in place before it can start. So to kind of get started right now, I'm going to look at doing some things that need to get painted, and that is going to be, in the immediate part right here, is going to be the two risers that go on here. Those are both painted, and then we'll have a few other things here we can make while we're painting things, because I don't want to just paint two risers and call that good. I might as well make a few other things to paint, and then we'll also make the tread here. The tread will match the flooring, so it will be white oak, so we'll have that to make as well. We'll do that after the painting. I'm going to leave the casings off of the list for now until later on, because we're going to have some interesting things to deal with up top here. Because our head height changes because of these steps, I can't put a full head casing up here. I have to make something else happen, and we have crowns going to be returning into here. So the crown is going to actually return into the casings somehow. And then on this wall, we'll have a step, because that bandboard up there is thicker than the paneling that'll be here, and the casing goes into it, so that'll be an interesting one to massage out as well. This one will be more interesting than this one, but they'll both be kind of weird. And both of those are beaded casings, so I'll set up the machine once and run all the beaded casing for everything in here, so I don't have to do that one time. That's something for later. So first step today is flat stuff. What flat things can we make? So as I pan around here, we need to wrap this thing just like we did over here, but what I made these is I made those ones too, so those are already made. But one thing I want to make that I forgot to make last time was this piece here, and I guess these guys, so we can add these to the list, because these also go over here as well. And as we pan over here to the pantry, again, we have the same column wrap detail here. I already have those made. But one thing I can make at this point is the jam stock for making up this jam. And then as we pan around to the front window area here, there's a couple of flat things that I can make now to get kind of out of the way. The layout here is going to be a 4-inch beaded casing on the outside casings. The middle casings are 6-inch flat casings. So I can make the middle casings now. They can't go in until the countertop is installed, but at least I'll have them made and in the pile of things that are done. It all has to get made eventually, so I might as well just make it when it's convenient for me. Up top will be a full head casing with, I think some of you guys call it bullet molding or a bullet trim. It's like a little bead thing that goes underneath the head casing. We did that on all the other window trims so far, and the easiest thing, for me at least, is to make the head casing itself and that bullet molding an integral thing together, paint it and then install it, versus trying to install it all separately as two pieces. So that'll be for later when we're making weird stuff, beaded things again. So it leaves me with the very top, which is a band board just like the rest of the room, and that's just going to be the same as making all the other band boards. So I'll make this band board that goes up here, it'll go from the fridge surround into the uppers, and that can get installed as soon as this upper cabinet is in place. Okay, so this first round of things we're going to make, we got two risers to make. We have these things over here. We have a band board for up there, and we'll make some jam stock. So those are ready to go in when we're ready to do the openings or whatever. So let's go make some stuff. I'm going to start with the risers first. So I have a few pieces of white oak here which are not in the best shape. I probably wouldn't end up using these for my drawer material. So these are going to make some pretty good risers. We got some splits and things which I need to stabilize with some epoxy, and then these of course be painted, and one of the nice things is that it's white oak, so it's gonna be a lot harder and more durable than the soft maple I've been using, or even the poplar, which is even softer. Since this is gonna be so close to feet and that kind of stuff, I feel a little bit better about having a harder substrate, you know, beneath the paint. It's gonna take a lot of primer though to fill all this grain. Okay, while that epoxy is soaking in, I'm gonna start working on the band board. All right, this is all set to go. I'm gonna get it all sanded and cleaned up and ready for paint and get this thing out of here. It's just out of the way, and then I can get on to prepping the risers and getting those also ready for paint. So there are the risers. I did a couple things on here. So on the bottom edge, I put that small little back bevel on there. This just leaves like a little bit of material, like maybe 1/8 of an inch on there. It's actually square to the face, and the whole back edge is tapered back off of there, so that when the riser sits on the step or onto the floor or whatever, there's no chance of some like weird stuff happening in the back, keeping this thing from fully seating down on there. That's what I did on the cabinets too, where they butt together, so you have less contact area, and that allows you, like if the riser has to do any of this kind of stuff, if it has to lean back a little bit, if there was a back corner on here, that would open a gap over here, but like this, I could have the riser hitting that step at a pretty severe angle without having a gap open up. And if I have to adjust or scribe this at all, I only have a little bit of material there to actually work with and remove versus the full thickness here. The other thing is I put some kerfs on the back. That's gonna do a couple of things for me. First off, it's gonna weaken the board so it'll have less chance of warping and distorting. These had some pretty good twists in them when I milled them, so I'm a little worried about them warping in the future. So this will weaken them and prevent that a little bit, and I'll be gluing these directly to the framing, so this will give some more purchase area for the glue to actually grab onto, just like with the flooring and everything. What I'm trying to do here is get these risers to the point where I spray them and I put them in and I don't touch them ever again. So I'm not going to use any fasteners to the face at all. They're going to get glued in place, and hopefully they'll just be all set to go. The only thing is they're a little over width, so I could rip them down to whatever their final width needs to be during the install. But other than that, should be just cut them to length, rip them to width, glue them on, and move on with my life. So those can go in the paint pile. I think we'll make some of the other flat pieces now and get those knocked out. And then the last big thing will be the tread, which I'll be working on while this stuff is getting painted. Ugh. Okay, let's go get the stuff sprayed, or started getting sprayed, and then we can make the tread. Okay, all those parts are painted, so let's move on to the stair tread. So I already went and pulled this thing out and brought it to the shop and did a little bit of epoxy work on it, but the tread is another piece of white oak. I got this log from the folks over at Wood from the Hood. This was a couple of logs, I think they're probably from the same tree, that had a lot of metal inclusions in them, and it was a little more than they wanted to deal with, so they gave them to me to hopefully muddle my way through and saw them. So I cut them in a video on testing bimetal blades to see how they do against embedded steel, and I'll leave a link to that video. If you happen to be in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, definitely check out Wood from the Hood if you're looking for some cool urban wood. All of their wood, just like their slogan, is like wood with a zip code. So when you go there, everything in the racks has a zip code of where the tree was growing when it was alive, before it was removed. So this is all ready for a little bit of breakdown and surfacing. So I'm gonna do a little trimming, get it cut to rough length, cut the live edges off, and then we'll get it on the surfacer and get it all cleaned up. It's been about a week, and I've just been letting this thing sit out here to see if it was going to, do anything to form or distort or do anything like that, and it hasn't moved at all, which is very cool. Like, it's as dead flat as it was whenever I flattened it a week ago or whatever. So I think from here, I'm just going to take it into the shop and take it down to final thickness in there. I was kind of figuring it would move a little bit, but it didn't do anything. The twist that I took out of it didn't come back at all, and that makes me feel pretty good. So I think we have like a 1/2 inch still to peel off this thing, so the planer is going to get a workout. Okay, onto the bowl nose. So the easiest way to do that would be to use a bowl nose bit or a 1/2 round bit, something like that. You can do it in one pass, and you can ensure that the radius is a perfect curve all the way through there, versus coming in from both sides like I'm going to do, because you can end up with a little bit of a flat spot. But I have a different problem because this stock is so thick. If I was doing a bunch of these, I would probably just buy the right bit like this and have a perfect thing off the get-go, but I'm only doing 6 feet of it. So I have my biggest roundover bit, which is a 1/2 inch. That stock is 1 1/8 inch thick. So this isn't gonna make it perfect. It's gonna get me really close. I'm gonna have some more work to do. I have a big flat spot to kind of feather out and I'll have to kind of work the curvature back into the face, but not a big deal because I only have one board to do. That's pretty good. When I give this final sanding, I'll get rid of all these facets, but at least the bull nose is approximated with all my planing. So I'm going to give this a quick trim on the ends, and then we'll go upstairs and start fitting it to the, I don't know, opening, stair framing thing? What do you want to call that? Okay, so before I get this thing fit in here, there's a couple of things that I wanted to just kind of point out here with the framing of everything. So as you can see, I've modified the bottom step or the bottom tread to drop it down. When we framed these steps, we planned for the tread to be the same material as the great room, which is obviously much thinner. So the rise heights didn't really work out with this one going to white oak, unless I made that tread only like a ½ inch thick, which I didn't really want to do. So I recessed the subfloor down into the framing there, just to sink it down. And now when I put this in here at 1 1/8 inch thick, my two rises will be identical. Another very small detail that we got wrong when we did the framing is that these steps were originally framed all the way out to be flush with this wall thing, what do you want to call this, stub wall. And that's not really how it's supposed to be. So I'll have my column detail, a 1 inch thick piece on here, and then right here is the breakfast nook, the bench, and the leg. The leg actually gets mounted inset of this piece here, and it's 2 inches thick. So I need the steps to go back to get the heck out of the way so I can actually get my breakfast bench leg in here. I want the stairs to go into the leg. I don't want to have to notch the leg around the steps. So I don't have that yet, but I'm going to plan for its final position when I cut the step and the riser to length, so that when I come and install my leg, I can just put it tight to the step, the tread, and the riser, and they'll be all situated and figured out. So this is cut back further than it needs to be, so that I can actually extend my step a little bit overhanging here, just so I have some room to make sure that this ends up where it's supposed to be. So with all that being said, the way I'm going to do this tread install is the only side that really matters a whole lot is going to be the side that's going to go into the appliance garage. I want to make sure I get that scribed in there nicely so the angle on the tread matches whatever the heck's going on over here. It's definitely not going to be square. So one nice thing is that I have to notch around this wall, but I have so much coverage over here that I don't need to be like tight to anything. I have 1.5 inches of coverage in this direction, and I have 3/4 inch of coverage in this direction. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of set this thing in here tight to the appliance garage, and then I'll just kind of mark and cut my notch. And then when we slide it in, we'll scribe the appliance garage to the step, cut the scribe, and then we can slide it in, and it should end up working out really nicely. We'll have a little gap on the left or on the stub wall, and it'll be nice and tight to the appliance garage. I'm going to use these 1/4 inch piece of plywood as shims just to hold it off of that cut edge of that subfloor back there, as I know it's nowhere near perfect and it's kind of all over the place. I'll make sure it's nice and, well, it's not hanging up on something in there. So I slide that over. We can see how it looks right now. Somebody set this cabinet really square to something. I mean, I think some people will be happy with that just as it is. There is just a tiny little itty bitty gap in the back, and it just gets just a tiny bit out. Like I could cheat that out by just doing that and pulling the step away from the riser. So I'm just gonna leave it like that, and then this spacer will just need to be a little bit bigger, but that's nice. Okay, so let's just chop it down to final length. We'll figure out where that bench leg is gonna be, and we'll make that last cut. Ta-da! Okay, that fits really nicely. I think this should be correct too. We should have 2 inches. Perfect, that's good. So I'm gonna take it down to the shop and give it a finish sanding, and then I'm gonna go ahead and finish this thing before the install. That's gonna be so much easier than trying to do it here in place, especially up next to the appliance garage. So back to the shop with this thing. So while the tread is getting finished on it, I'm going to start doing some of the trim that I can do. I'm going to get this post installed here first. So I need my 2 pieces of uprights, or my post stocks, and my piece of jamb. So I already checked my framing, and it is leaning that way. So exaggerated is kind of more like that. So I know that my furthest distance from the wall is going to be at the bottom. So that's where I'm going to check to see where my jamb needs to start. And this wall is going to be delineated all the way with 6-inch V-groove paneling, and then my post is 6 inches as well. So I want the jamb to end at a 6-inch increment. I do have 3/4 of an inch for the casing. That's going to be on that wall over there. So it should end up, the jamb should be somewhere like that if you go to an even 60. But even that's not quite enough. This framing is a little too far over. It should have been framed back a little bit to give myself a little more room. So I will have to fudge my V-groove a little bit to end up exactly where it needs to be. So I'm going to install my jamb tight on the bottom, and then we'll adjust for the plumbness. So I know that with this 6-foot level in 6 feet, I'm about 1/8 of an inch out. So I'll tack this shim right here at 6 feet, and that should give me a nice plumb start for the jamb. And I actually got ahead of myself because this return is supposed to be 6 inches as well. I have 1.25 inches for the jamb right now. So in order to make this look correct, I'm going to actually have to come out this way even further, and we'll have to cheat that V-groove even more. So I'm going to put, let's see, maybe some a 1/2 inch shim on the top and on top of my other shim, and that should put that jamb where it needs to be for the return, at least. Okay, it looks like it's pretty well ready to go in. Before I actually install this though, I'm going to put this band board up here so I can use this board to support that band board as I'm installing it, and that'll make it a lot easier than trying to do without an alignment aid. Next, I'm going to put in the band board that'll be above the breakfast bench, mostly just to get it out of the way. Okay, to kind of wrap things up for me today, I'm going to go ahead and prep this first riser so that it's ready to go to install the step, which I should be able to do tomorrow. And the contact with the floor is actually good. Like, there's a little bit of a gap here and here, but I think it's well within the realm of good enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip this down to final width. And I already cut a square end on that side, and it fits really nicely into the appliance garage. So that's kind of nice too. So we'll give this thing a rip. And then the only thing left on it would be to cut it to final length. All right, good morning, everyone. I had Lindsay help me put this band board up here last night, so I figured it'd be a lot easier with two people than me trying to do this alone and, banging up either side with the cabinets and everything. So that's up there. That was uneventful and boring. I have some blocks up there. We just maneuvered it up there without hitting either side. I just tacked it in place. Let's do this. I just cut this, whatever you want to call this, riser board to length. So now we can start actually doing the install, which is exciting. Super exciting. Okay, there it is, all installed. I'm gonna let this sit here for like an hour or so until the glue starts to grab, and then we can move on from here. So the glue has set up enough that I'm not worried about bumping it anymore. So I'm gonna start working on getting this next riser in here. I got it cut to length, and it's not that great as far as the fit goes. The riser has a happy face in it. It's got a bow. So I'm going to scribe this riser to the tread and make it fit a lot better. Okay, for this riser, I'm resorting to more of a back butter type of technique. It's a little bit better than trying to trowel stuff on. This adhesive also comes in a sausage form, which is basically just like a big tube of caulk, and you can apply it just like any other caulking, like in a gun type thing, and that would be, quite a bit nicer for this application than the jugs that I have. Now, something that I didn't realize until recently is that this jamb, this column, is set by the location of this riser, because the vertical piece here is going to butt tight into the riser, and then that sets the location of the jamb. So I originally thought the jamb would be mounted tight to this, and then this just kind of ends up wherever, but this is the final look and design. So my jamb has to come off of the framing here by, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch or something, which that part's not a big deal. But if you remember back, well, a while ago, I moved this light box, the switch box, over a little bit because it was wrong. But now it's actually not moved over far enough because I have to move it over half the distance that thing's gonna move out. So I'm gonna move this switch box over a little more, about another 1/4 inch, and then get my block set for my jamb. My wall is out of plumb again, but nothing I can't fix with some shims. Even though I tell the painter not to paint the edge of these jambs because they're glue surface, he still paints them anyway. So let's come back around here to the steps. We have this cove molding which gets installed onto the riser that kind of transitions up into the the nose of the step. So the one that's going to go underneath the white oak tread is going to be pretty easy because there's plenty of support on the tread itself. But up here, this is kind of how it's going to work out. This is the nosing that goes with this flooring here. And you can see to make this work, it actually ends like right where that cove mold would start. So it would be kind of mounted more like this. So that nose is going to be kind of supported by this piece of cove molding because it will be mounted like pretty much on top of the riser there. So that's kind of the final look. So I need to actually get this installed pretty securely so it doesn't get like knocked off, and it can support people stepping right here on the nose and resisting all that. So, you know, we're gonna do some dominoes. So I already got them cut into this piece of cove mold. I'm just gonna cut them into the riser, and then I will remove some of the paint so we can get a little more glue adhesion between the two parts. I'm using spacers because I couldn't get the fence low enough to put this domino in a spot where it wouldn't go through the cove. So that's what the spacers are for. If I couldn't get it to stay, I was planning on just popping a pin through either side of the domino to hold it kind of clamped in place, but I don't know, they're doing just fine. Maybe this one might need a little love. Just to hold it, well, keep the domino from being able to slide in and out until the glue sets. But these aren't really, they're staying, so. Okay, now with that there, we can get rid of the this little section here and take that off the list. So I have a few pieces of flooring to fit in here, and then we'll fit our nosing in here as well. So A lot of people asked last time where I got all this extra flooring from. This is all the stuff that we salvaged from the old steps. The old one used to have like a 3-foot landing and then the steps to the room. So we have a lot of perfectly good full-size floorboards. And then the nosing we pulled off of there as well.
They didn't put the channel in. So normally they put a channel, that's got that channel in there. There's a metal strip that they normally put in there. And then it stands there. So they decided to just glue it and nail it.
I want to use the actual metal track to go in there. So you can still buy this. I went to the store and I could find this one on the shelf. The only issue was that in stores, they only come at 4-foot lengths, and this is like 5 foot. So you also can't buy the metal track either. So I went to the clearance section there, and I bought whatever was the cheapest. There's an $8 one and an $11 one because I wanted this piece right here. This is the track that I'll get mounted on here that this thing then actually clips into. Something like that. So I'm going to mount the track first, figure out where it needs to be so my nosing lands nice and tight to my cove mold, and then I can cut and fit the last 2 pieces of flooring in here and rip them down to their final width and scribe them to the appliance garage. All right, let's take a look. I got my lines here for where the track's going to go. Get this clipped in here. Yeah, I just got to basically remove this tongue here, and then I'll have enough room for the nosing to just doop, right there. So I'm going to just rip away this tongue real quick, and then we can slap these 2 pieces in. Okay, before I attach the track and the nosing, I think I'm going to take a pause here and just kind of leave it like this for now, because this nosing piece is going to get notched around this upright, because my baseboard is going to be set back a little bit, so there'll be a little step here. So I want to wait until I have the baseboard in there until I go cutting my nosing and notching it. So we're going to talk about what we're going to make next. So next we're going to get everything we need to finish up this wall from the bandboard down to the floor. And there's that wall, so you can see this, the baseboard and the nosing will kind of get notched around there. So we need to make some baseboard to go along the floor, and a piece of baseboard we'll use later on the door for the pantry. And then the rest of it is all V-groove paneling. You can see it's like, when we make this door, we'll do that in the future, but the door closes and it's inside of that V-groove paneling, so it almost vanishes into the wall. So we need to have all this stuff, and then these 2 pieces over here, which are a little narrower. There's going to be whatever the width needs to be to evenly fill the space. Now there is a few little weird things to consider with this. This first piece of paneling has to be wide enough so that when the casing over here comes into it and covers it, the remaining show is going to be 6 inches. So this piece in the corner has to be a wider piece than this piece over here. And then we had this kind of thing where I kind of got ahead of myself. So this is wider than I need for an even thing. The V-groove paneling that will go here to make this work as is would be 6 3/8 inches wide of coverage versus 6 inch all through here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and make it like that, and maybe we'll take a look at it and see how it looks or whatever. Another thing I can do if I want to shrink this space up a little bit is I can pull all the drywall screws, pull the screws out of this, I guess the jack stud, plane the jack stud down and reinstall it to buy me some more space, but I would prefer not to have to mess with framing again. So that's this. And over here with this thing, it's the same thing as over there. We have a casing coming in, so I need to make this piece here, the width of the casing, wider than this piece here. So just for the list of things. And while I have the shop set up to make V-groove paneling, I can also go ahead and make the paneling here for the pantry so it's made and out of the way. I already went through and did all my layout because I want this to lay out just like I did in the sunroom, so I have even pieces on all the walls. So I have a small return piece which will go next to the casing over here. Same thing over here, casing and a return piece is one piece of paneling for there. there are 3 pieces here at 6 1/8. Then we'll have a piece that turns and goes this way. There's 3 pieces that go here. And then on this wall, there's 10 pieces. So you got 12, 12 pieces over there, 10 pieces for over here, and 3, 3, and 1, 1. So what I did is I went through and made up my list of things. So this is that full wall with the door. Every single piece is numbered. I have my coverage width down here. And then I also went through and put down what every edge is going to have on it. Because some of the pieces, like the edge, this edge of this piece, doesn't need a groove in it or a tongue because it needs to hide the door. So we're just going to get a chamfer along that edge to kind of look like the groove side without the groove. Okay, there's all the paneling and the baseboards. I think I got it all for the pantry, but we'll see. There's still plenty of stuff to make out there, so I'm gonna go and get this all painted, then we'll get it installed. Okay, all the parts are back from paint. I'm gonna start over here because this is gonna be the easiest section. I don't think I mentioned this before, but my baseboards are 7/8 because my paneling is 3/4 of an inch thick. I want to have a step between the baseboard and the paneling. In the sunroom, we made the paneling 5/8. I planed it down to 5/8 because I already had my baseboard at 3/4. So this time we just made the baseboard thicker. So hooray. The other thing is on here, I did include this rabbet, which allows you to rabbet the paneling into here. On these short sections, there's only 2 pieces of paneling. I'm going to actually remove this and just butt them together. What this allows for is that when you have your baseboard is sitting on the wall and the wall is doing one of these things, your shorter pieces are going to follow the wall and you'll have a little bit of angulation to them all. By having the rabbet on here, it locks them together and it keeps the reveal from the paneling to the baseboard really, really straight and consistent all the way down, and it doesn't deviate. You have a really clean straight line where these 2 pieces intersect and interact and everything. So that's why the rabbet's there. I know some people asked about that when we did the baseboards in here for the great room with the cap molding. The same thing, because the cap molding is thin, it will follow the curvature of the wall, and having that rabbet on there makes sure that they are actually in plane the whole way down as you're looking. It's a much cleaner look than seeing some variation in that line right here along the top edge. So I'm going to get this one fit in here. I don't have any framing to attach to except back here. So basically this whole wall is going to be just glued to the sheetrock. Okay, there's these steps all done and ready for walking on. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with the way these things turned out. It's a nice transition up into that room. Looks clean and pretty. So now let's deal with this situation over here. So there's 2 wider pieces for over here sitting next to a standard size piece, which is what's going to be on the door. And it's close. I can tell like standing back and looking at it, I can tell that this is wider than this. So I'm probably going to have to massage that a little bit just to make it a little more consistent looking, which is fine because I have my jamb sitting here tight to my framing with my gap. I put this in. I'm actually too narrow over here. My jamb sticks out too far this way. The jamb for this is going to be flush all the way around, so this piece is flush here. The top jamb will be flush to the band board, and the same thing over there. It's just like a giant inset door on a piece of furniture. The better you can make the case, the easier it is to fit that door. So what I am going to do is this. I'm going to take this jack stud out of here, since it's just screwed in, take it down to the shop and plane it down to get my spacing correct. Okay, so sort of unfortunately, I think that's where it's going to be. I don't have any more room to kind of go that way and remove some of this material because this framing is so twisted. I'm contacting at the bottom and this is perfectly plumb right now. So I can't go any further that way because I already notched my flooring around here and I barely have enough coverage where it is now. So this is the size of the paneling is going to be. So I think before, I'm not really sure how I want to do this yet, if I want to like pre-assemble all 4 of these pieces as a single unit and put them on, or what I want to do yet. But I'm going to install the top jamb just to get that out of the way while I procrastinate on what I'm going to do here for the 2 sides. The door size looks like it's going to work out pretty well too. And I know some of you are going to say this is some really overly fussy work and I'm worrying too much about this, but I think this kind of illustrates the one thing that I've learned through this whole process is that if you have any problems like this, either you can fix it now when it's easy, fix it later when it's more difficult, or make compromises later and change the design to something lesser. So at least in my case, I have to look at this every day and I want that detail to work out really nicely. So I'm going to put the extra work into making sure it actually is visually uniform. There's a lot of uniformity in this design, and now there was a lot of things that we could have spent a little more time back in framing to make sure we're going to work out perfectly, but you know, we didn't. So didn't fix it then because we didn't know it was a problem then. So now it's a little bit of both. Trying to fix it to make it work, which is, you know, modifying the framing. That's the fix to make it work. But now I'm also compromising the design by making the right side wider than the door and the paneling on the left side. But hopefully it won't be noticeable. All right, there is this doorway in place. I did have a little bit of an issue with getting the whole thing flat on the face since this is a full, basically a big inset door. I don't know how the framing got so screwed up, but there is a little twist in here that I couldn't take out. I put the laser in the opening so I could shoot a line all the way around, and I have a little twist in here still. I couldn't take it all out. It started kind of messing up with the reveals up top, so we'll have to massage the door that goes in there, but custom door fit to a custom opening with its custom geometry. But this guy is nice and plumb in both directions. This one is perfectly parallel to that one, so at least that's all set up for me. I just have a little bit of, I have some messing around to do with the twist. But anyway, this is looking like, for some reason, just having that in here makes this feel so much more finished and complete. Having that drywall covered up, having this post in here, and seeing all the details in that one wall really changes the look of the whole thing. And especially as you come up through here with the steps in place, you really start getting a feel for this hallway, which will be here when this wall here, opens up. So as you're coming in the hallway here, this will be coming in from the dining room, which will be through this doorway in the future. Right now, that's the kitchen. So as you're coming through here, you're greeted by this nice staircase and this look of like, you got the window in the great room out there in the distance. You're walking past the kitchen island right here, and you have a good sense of this this hallway concept that'll actually be linking the entire house together. So I'm just, it's very cool to see this concept finally like get a little more of a feel going on. I think next time, as far as trim goes, we'll keep going and making more stuff that we can install until further things are done. That's kind of where this is at, but it's kind of a side project to everything else is going on in the kitchen as I keep busy as things have pauses to them. So thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on the home addition or remodel, whatever we're calling it, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy working.